What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome to another edition, another Monday of MVP Sports Live. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, I'm assuming you're doing really good on this Monday following... Dave don't need to wait for Monday night. He knows he won both of his fantasy leagues.
I crushed fantasy this week. And I'm hoping you guys listen to me talk on Friday about things because I don't know if you noticed, one of my highest touted guys. What's up?
You were spot on about
I was very good.
Janu from is that his name from the Titans? Janu Smith, he had a great game.
2 weeks in a row, I've called out Johnny Smith. He's still owned in a majority of leagues out there. He is the best receiver on the Titans. He is a physical, just absolute monster out there, and he is the guy. Like there's nothing to not like out there. And you know he's healthy, which is honestly the best thing there is in the NFL as of today.
So you know what we should do for our fantasy segments?
Dave was right.
So when Dave was right. But you know what we should do for our fantasy segments? Like this could actually work. I would have to slim down a little to look like him, but the face and the head, I could pull it off.
Caliendo?
No. Adam Rank on NFL. Like shave the head. Like I think I could pull off Adam Rank. You should pull off a Field Yates. I think you could pull off Field Yates.
I could do Field Yates.
Because I was thinking like you as Yates and me as Matthew Berry, but I don't know if I could pull off the Matthew. I would have to slim down a lot for Matthew Berry, I think.
I mean, that's the commitment, man.
It's a commitment.
Dave, we top two, but you aren't two. Yeah, I am crushing it, Philly Sean.
Yeah.
Look, and that's typical early year Dave. Mm-hmm. Like, just wait, the season will go on. I will look like the whole of an ass very soon.
The miraculous thing is you didn't get hit with a lot of injuries this week, and usually you get hit with all the injuries.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it. I got a couple guys.
I have a couple guys also.
Dig into it, man.
Yeah, but before we do, housekeeping, it's really simple. It's really simple. Discord, link down below, ! Discord in Twitch chat. That's how you get into it. Great community. NBA fans, there's a little Luka Trae Young debate going on right now. You could get in on that. Right now, you can get in on that. We also talk about NFL and everything else, too. Number 2, you want to support us, patreon.com/MVP vids, bronze, silver, gold, or platinum tiers, a numerous amount of ways for you to support us. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. Also, you can sub to us on Twitch, and you get the same rewards as a bronze member patron. And then last but not least, we're on twitch.tv/MVP vids every Monday through Friday. And then we're also on YouTube, MVP Sports as well. So catch us there, sub, like, follow everywhere. Follow MVP every single place. But Dave, we're talking fantasy to start the show. And there's three main topics we're going to cover. Running backs, wide receivers, and then Tyler Higbee. Because number one, we'll get to running backs. There were injuries.
Why does Tyler Higbee get his own category?
So there's a lot of people right now after week 2 that are wanting to know the question, is he going to be a tight end number 1 the rest of the year? That's the big talk with how small the tight ends are.
If you think the tight end pool is small, then you are blind, people. You are blind. Tight ends have never had a wider field of viable options. I am out here rolling 3 deep at tight end, and each one of them double digits on the weekly. It's not hard. You just got to look for the opportunities out there.
And Mel Kiper. Dave's got the Mel Kiper. It's going well.
It's so hard.
Go with the tight end. You'll have a good time. It's so
hard not
Smith.
to. Like, if I could put the tight end in the flex, I would 100% do it, but NFL Network does not let me do that. ESPN might allow it, but our NFL league doesn't.
JD, though. JD. You say must be nice, but you traded me TJ Hawkinson. You gave me a great tight end, but that's besides the point. Dave, let's get into running backs first. A slew of running back injuries.
Oh, what a horrible day.
Christian McCaffrey out for 4 to 6. Says he is going to be, he's aiming to be back before 4 weeks, but it's 4 to 6 weeks. Saquon Barkley, I feel bad for STL fans. I know he's probably not here. He's probably like, fuck those guys. I'm never listening to them again. We told him not to trade Saquon Barkley because, he's going to pick up. No one foresaw him tearing his ACL and being out for the rest of the year. Then you have Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown. Question mark on the length of these injuries. They didn't return for their game. Many people are asking the question, though, about, I think it's Darrell Henderson. Hey, can he step up in their absence? People aren't expecting them to play this week. And then the last one, he's owned on my team in the MVP league. He's got your name in his name, Dave. Raheem Oster. A mild MCL sprain, might be out a few games with that sprain. So Dave, with this first one with running backs, if you have one of these running backs, if you have a running back that we did not talk about, where should people look to? Where should people go to find some relief, especially if you have an injured back?
I mean, the obvious answer is you look to who's next up. Next man up on the roster is the obvious concept. For Carolina and Christian McCaffrey, obviously Mike Davis will be expected to pick up the carry of the large carry of shares going forward. One of the hot names out there, though, Devonta Freeman, still an available free agent. He did meet with the Giants today, so potentially coming in is Saquon Barkley's backup. Fill-in for this year. So if you do have like Dion Lewis or Gallman, do you think that, hey, neither one of these guys really is the guy that they are in love with? So, like, yes, Dion Lewis will get catches. He'll get touches. So if you're in PPR, he's still a decent option out there. But Devonta Freeman, if you are going into the waiver wire, he's the guy that everybody's looking at. So he's either going to get an opportunity with the Giants or an opportunity with the Carolina Panthers, it sounds like, per my sources.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville was a team that I know he had met with. I didn't know he met with the Giants today. But
literally just today. They had him in today. So
one guy that I'm thinking about, and this is now going forward, his next two games are against teams like the Cleveland Browns, who on NFL are ranked the 9th toughest defense against the run. And then in week 4, he's got Baltimore as a matchup, which they are. If you have a running back going up against Baltimore, just sit them. Because they're not going to have a good game. But
actually, let me pose this question. Next week, I believe the Kansas City Chiefs are facing the Ravens. We have a showdown of the ages. Yes, we have an AFC 1 versus AFC 2 matchup.
Yeah, they are.
Would you hello?
Oh, I feel like, see, that's the thing. If you've
that's the one matchup. You say you don't play players against the Ravens, but then hello.
Healthy. If it's a CMC, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, Edwards, Allaire, you start them. But like if you have someone like Gibson going up against Baltimore, I'm going to push that one to the side because maybe he doesn't have a good game. But Dave, this is a guy. He's owned in 72% of NFL leagues. But like I look at it and I go, if he's not available going into this week, there were people like about 5% of people dropping him, so he could be available. He's one that has the kind of Raheem Mostert side to him, where he's going to get involved rushing, but he also gets involved in the passing game as well. The other one, who is legit owned in half of leagues, I think he is just like, this is the reason why I think Freeman is not going to be a Jaguar, is because James Robinson is the guy. And James Robinson proved in game 2, hey, you can lean on me and I can get you some good fantasy points. He's going against, like, his next 4 games, Miami ranked 14th, good matchup. Cincinnati, one of the worst defenses, the second worst defense against running backs. Play them there. Houston ranked 26th. Detroit ranked 30th. Like, so for the next 4 games, you could be getting some good games out of him, and he's owned in half of leagues.
That's actually a great call out. I'm just going to say that I told you to pick him up on Friday. I told you he was the guy Friday. That he was the guy going forward for Jacksonville because I liked what I saw last year. Another guy, Darrell Henderson Jr., someone in that competition in that Rams backfield, only rostered in 44%
could be
of
the main
leagues
guy
on ESPN. Had a breakout game perhaps this past week. Looked excellent in those limited carries. So I do have to wonder the Malcolm Brown situation. Obviously, we talked about Akers off show. It was pre-show. We're talking about his tweak. So it's the question of, is Henderson the guy you want to put your money on going forward? And I would say that he's an interesting prospect out there if you're looking for a running back who's going to at least get his share of touches. I was definitely wrong with my idea in Indy. I thought Naheem Hines was the guy going forward. At least
Jonathan
we're going to give
Taylor
him.
kind of woke up.
Jonathan Taylor exploded on the scene, and I will give him all the credit in the world because I thought Hines looked good in game 1, and it seemed like he was not even in the game plan week 2. Like he was just not a factor, and I was like, I don't understand what happened, but I'm happy for Taylor, but I don't know where Hines went on their game plans. That was kind of a curveball to me. I didn't see that coming, but credit to Jonathan Taylor, and people, if you haven't caught on yet, I'm sure he is already gone because he has been a hot name since the draft. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
about that one.
Taylor was owned in like 99.7% of leagues week 1.
Yeah, he was on 99%, and then he didn't drop off after having such a horrible showing. So that's the surprising thing out there.
Yeah, let's see. Right now he is. I think his number is still at. Let's see. I'm scrolling down. Yeah, he is 99.3% of leagues. He is up 5%.
Yeah.
From
Leonard Fournette obviously had his breakout game. So they've made it very clear that they're confident with him being the lead back down there in Tampa after all the roadshow talk. So like he's a guy who only rostered in 88.1% of leagues. So for people who do have a chance to snipe him, go ahead and pick up. That's still a great move.
Another one I'm looking at, Jerick McKinnon. He's a guy with the Niners. 16% of leagues I'm looking at NFL. 16% of leagues he's owned in. He only starts in 3% of leagues. But like this is a guy where now the last 2 weeks he's only gotten 3 carries. This week he had the big one. He had the 77 yards, touchdown on the ground, but he's also involved in the passing game as well. This week, mostly on the run with his 3 carries, but week 1, he did have 5 targets, picked up 60 yards on the ground, had a receiving touchdown. So
yeah, he's got in the end zone 2 weeks in a row.
And if Oster is going to miss games, Oster's going to miss games, he could fill that spot. And the next teams he's going up against, Giants, good matchup. Eagles, good matchup. Miami, good matchup. Rams, good matchup. And even the Patriots for running backs.
Okay. I would say the Rams, maybe not the best matchup after watching that man beast that they have on that defensive line.
But maybe that's a game where it's like they swing him out more and he's getting hit on the passes from Garoppolo. If Garoppolo's even healthy.
He won't be back by then. He won't be back.
Like they said the sprain was mild, but we don't know.
It's an ankle, though. High ankle is always a dangerous thing to say out loud for anybody. But Jerick McKinnon, you said NFL low percentage, ESPN 19.1% rostered. So I agree. He's available. Is a great call. He's available if you have room on that bench. And you think that, actually, honestly, maybe next week, like you said, that's a great matchup. He might be start worthy.
Also,
we'll talk Friday.
I'm going to throw this out. Yeah, we'll talk Friday. But even this week, Joshua Kelly as well.
I talked about him with you off cam about how he and the game plan of Austin Eckler must touch the ball every play.
I mean, he had 23 carries against the Chiefs this week. He had 2 receptions on 3 targets? Yeah, it was. Well, Justin Herbert looked great. We'll talk about him later.
That was a shocker. That was overreaction day. Tyrod Taylor with the rib question mark going on out there, the chest injury. Literally minutes before the kickoff, Justin Herbert got announced as the starter. He didn't know, which is great. One hell of a game. Hell of a game, and they gave the best team in the NFL a great fight. So shout out to them.
I mean, and looking at Kelly though, this next week goes up against Carolina, who yes, they've gone up against Josh Jingleheimer Jacobs. With the
who was a monster
with the Raiders this last week. Leonard Fournette toast them, so there's a reason why they're the last ranked team in fantasy against running backs. Tampa, they're a team that they went up against Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, so maybe that 29 is a little skewed.
They did face the number 1 and number 5 best running backs in the NFL.
But even like after that, he has the Saints week 5, but then Jets, Dolphins, Jaguars, Raiders, to where it's like the next couple weeks for Kelly could be a good one. Any other running backs you're thinking about before we move on into?
I think we covered a lot of the great options out there. But again, Devonta Freeman's the wild card out there, guys. Watch him in. I would say just
pick
if you can put in the claim.
Yeah,
just see what happens, because if he ends up on the Giants, he's RB1. If he ends up on the Carolina Panthers, he's RB1. So
the league that you and I are in with Mark, he was drafted by a team because of me.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't drop him. I literally looked to pick him up early this morning, and he was not available, and I was pissed.
So I basically screwed over the league there by
you didn't screw, but you did throw off. I was trying to be sneaky. I was like, well, maybe not everybody's right up on this, and I could get an early claim in, and nobody, nope.
Yeah, I think it was Mike got that guy? Did Mike have him?
Yeah, I don't
Mike from
know
my
who
league.
it is. Fuck.
But the wide receivers, Dave, everyone's asking about Devonta Adams. Question mark on his time frame, but there's a question that he might miss this week. Paris Campbell. All we got on Paris Campbell is head coach Frank Wright said, not good injury. Didn't look good, doesn't sound good. He may be out for the year. Cortland Sutton, who missed week 1 because of a shoulder injury, is now out for the year with an injury after week 2. And then Sterling Shepard.
Paris Campbell was a PCL injury, indefinite.
Yeah.
Per Scheffler earlier today.
But like Frank Wright said, it didn't look good of it. Like, it's not a good injury, so I'm not expecting him to be back anytime soon.
No, he's not.
Who are some wide receivers people should target?
Motherfucker, like this is just...
Motherfucker Jones?
Motherfucker Jones. It's just frustrating because when you're looking at all the injuries that have happened, it still just seems crazy out there. Like, you say Jones, I go Jones Jr. because Marvin Jones Jr. is still available in like 11% of leagues out there. He's a consistent target out there. And I honestly wonder if he's a guy who gets targeted for trades. If Detroit loses another game, I think he could be a Patriot. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is a name on the block whose value will go up as the season goes on. So if you're in one of that 11% of leagues, maybe you can buy low on him because some people are like, oh, he's a safe, kind of high floor guy. You might be able to buy low on Marvin Jones Jr. And if he gets moved, congratulations, you're in a better situation. I believe I mentioned Deontay Johnson's name heavily.
You may have.
I may have talked about Deontay Johnson being a good wide receiver, getting a large number of targets week 1, 10 targets, 6 catches, just absolute dumb move, fumbling the ball in his hands that cost him early against the Giants. But week 2, Denver, he redeemed himself. 13 targets, 8 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. He is special. There is a part of that offense. He is special in it. Yeah. So Deontay Johnson, if you did not get him, you best getting. He's available in 18% of leagues on ESPN, surprisingly enough. The other guy, obviously, you have to go look after we just talked about Cortland Sutton's injury. You have to look at Denver's depth chart and go, okay, is there anybody? There's one name. He probably is on a roster because he was a pretty highly drafted rookie, Jerry Jeudy.
He's on my roster for sure.
Is Jerry Jeudy the guy on Denver? Is he the only guy on that team who you should bet on? Or is this an offense where, because Drew Lock is now out, should you even touch this team, or are they nuclear?
So I was going to bring that up, Dave, when you mentioned Cortland Sutton. I was going to say or Jerry Jeudy, I should say. I was going to say, well, Drew Lock is out. And that's
AC joint.
That's a big thing, too, is there were quarterbacks that were affected by this. Like, even the Tyrod Taylor one, which I know was a pre-game injury, and I know that Anthony Lynn,
before the game,
we'll get into this part of it, but Anthony Lynn saying that Tyrod is still the starter. Don't know why. Justin Herbert looks good. Go with the future.
He is not the starter. He's still questionable on the chest injury. I think that Justin Herbert, if he's healthy, excellent out there.
Like, he made a comment of, like, if he's healthy, he's 100% our starter, which I feel like the conversation should be had, even if Tyrod is healthy.
Right, but you can't go backwards.
Yeah, you can't. You got to
Herbert looks great, and the fact that he bounced the guy on the defense, and I love the way they put it on the McAfee show. It was the disrespect shown by just no selling that hit. It's a QB run, not planned, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He bounces off of a linebacker. They both go down, and the linebacker stays down, and he just pops right up. No problem. Quick look down, glance, sees him down, and just walks it off. And it's just like, whoo, that's
God, I love him.
That's a level of like disrespect, but like it's that like subtleness to the game. He's not going to talk. He's not going to chirp at you. But his actions and his emotions there really made me a fan of him. And he's a guy who, because college, it was like, okay, he was one of those pack guys. You didn't get to see a ton of his game.
Only if you stayed up late like I did. If you weren't like
I did not. Ricky, you know my schedule.
I know you, but I know even Brandon, who at the time we did a college podcast, would always be like, fuck the Pac-12. I ain't staying up to watch it.
Yeah. So, no, I think the Tyrod is going back to backup mode where he's most natural at. So, the guy's had a great career. Yeah. He's gotten a team to the playoffs. He was drafted as a Flacco backup, and he's done nothing but overachieve every place he's gone. But he is inevitably just the guy before you get the guy,
Yeah.
He was the guy in Baltimore because they had Joe Flacco and he was their safety policy. And then they went and got the guy. He was the guy up in Buffalo before they went and got the guy.
Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Now we have our boy in Herbert. Like, I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield was in between there, and we'll see about him. We don't know.
I mean,
Justin Herbert. So I'm just saying, like, Tyrod Taylor is like, and I hate that I'm saying this. He's the what is that, like, Good Luck Chuck?
Oh no, our Tyrod.
Yeah, you know my history with that movie.
Yes. If you have him
that's why I hate to admit it.
If you have him as a quarterback, you're gonna find your future very soon.
I think that's what Tyrod Taylor is.
It makes sense. Going back to the wide receivers a little bit, because Herbert and Tyrod, we are going to discuss a lot, basically, when we get to that Charger-Chief game, I feel. Yeah. One guy I still don't know why I don't know why this guy is not owned in 90% of leagues, especially after week 2. He should see a jump. And if he is, because, like, he's owned in 68, 69%. Of leagues. So there's a possibility he's not there, but there is a possibility he is. Robbie Anderson from the Panthers. Like, if you had a question after the 27-point performance week 1 that, I don't know, like, was that just because they were playing the Raiders? Well, he went up against the Buccaneers and was still like, hey, I'm going to give you 17, 18 points. I'm going to give you, 10 targets, 9 receptions for 90 yards. The only thing that was different is he did not get into the end zone this time. Like he did the week before. And I know that he's going up against the Chargers that right now are tough against fantasy. Arizona apparently has the number 1 defense right now against wide receivers. They have given up the least points to opposing wide receivers so far on NFL. And I know the Bears are week 6, where they're also a top 10 team that doesn't give up points to wide receivers so far, but look at who they played. And they've had teams that are injured, with Sterling Shepard getting injured week 2. Kenny Galladay didn't play week 1 for the Lions. But, like, I look at Robbie Anderson, I go, he's getting 8 to 10 targets in 2 games. It looks like him and Teddy have that rapport where Teddy's like, you're my guy. I have realized you're the guy here because I have literally zero, like, yes, DJ Moore had a good game as well. But it's like Robbie Anderson's getting at least 8 a game so far. You got to roll with this guy, especially if you have a Devonta Adams, if you have even if you have like a Oster or any of the running backs and you need a flex option. Like, this is somebody you should be picking up. If he's not owned in 90% of leagues after this waiver period, something is wrong in my mind.
Dude, another one out there. 2. John Brown, I mentioned earlier, only 74.6% roster in ESPN, which I was surprised. That seems shockingly low.
Yeah.
The other guy is Golden Tate. To me, he seems like the most consistent wide receiver on that Giants team. And I know Danny Dimes is back there getting murdered because he has no offensive line. But with no Saquon Barkley, you have to expect that Giants offense becomes more pass heavy. And I would expect to see Golden Tate be the guy who gets the majority of catches out there, or at least the majority of targets going forward. So
I mean,
I think he's a sneaky pickup.
We saw it in the second half of that Bears game where he got obviously he got targeted more.
He had I think he had 5 receptions, 47 yards.
Yeah.
It was 5 receptions out of 5 targets. So you can't ask for more out of him. He looks good coming off of that injury. And I think that's the thing, is it's exactly what you want to see out of a wide receiver. Man, there are just so many questions.
Well, I've got one for you, is because of the Devonta Adams injury, and basically because Devonta Adams, let's say he's not a go. And this week I was very high.
Which player?
Devonta Adams.
Okay.
Let's say he's not a go.
Green Bay. Gotcha.
And I was very high on either Lazar or MVS, where I said somebody's going to get points. Like, should people roll the dice with them if Adams is not able to go? Because usually the train of thought would be, well, Adams isn't there to take receptions away. Rodgers could target these two more. Or is it a situation of like, well, yeah, they might get targeted more, or we could just use Aaron Jones, who's a beast.
It turns out Aaron Jones just decided that he was going to be this week's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a weekly award. It's like, who's the Christian McCaffrey this week? Week 1 clearly went to the Las Vegas Raiders, and why can't I recall his name right now?
Josh
Jacobs, ex-Bears pick. You're welcome, Las Vegas. Enjoy that running back.
You're happy with Khalil Mack, though.
I can't complain. But he was the Christian McCaffrey of the Week award winner.
Yeah.
He was the do-it-all guy. This week, Aaron Jones, the Christian McCaffrey award winner of the week. He did everything under the sun for that team, and it's just – I don't think he got touched on one of those touchdown runs. Like, he literally did not have another hand hit his body. He was just on another level performing out there. I'll tell you what, when you're talking about replacements, though, for that issue going up there in Green Bay on that wide receiving core, if you're asking me MVS or Lazar, I'm telling you neither. I'm going with somebody out of Atlanta. I'm going Russell Gage.
All right.
You call me crazy. This man's rostered in 20% of leagues, but 2 weeks in a row, he's had 12 targets and then 9 targets.
Yep.
He's gotten to the end zone 1 week, but still 114 yards week 1, 46 yards and a touchdown week 2. This Falcons offense fucking moves the ball. I don't care about winning games because I told you they were going to lose. But they are capable of scoring lots of points and getting lots of yards. And that's all fantasy is about at the end of the day. Am I right, people?
Well, also, I don't know if you mentioned this. He only had a touchdown in one game, but in both games, he has 2 red zone targets. So they're giving him opportunities to get those touchdowns.
Huge. He is a big option down there. And clearly with the Falcons and Julio Jones being a question mark.
Yeah.
I think you put in some stock in Russell Gage. I want to like Lazard over MVS, but I would just defer out of that situation and go for someone like Russell, who, even though he's technically a 3 on his team's going to average about 400 yards of offense every single game. And it's all through the air. I have no issues. I have no questions. This Atlanta Falcons offense is a well-oiled fucking machine.
I've got 2 as well to kind of end things. The first one, Corey Davis. He's only owned in 25% of leagues.
I had not heard his name at all.
17 points week 1, 12 points week 2 against Jacksonville. And he's got Minnesota coming up, which right now Anthony Barr is injured. Who knows how we're going to play on Sundays.
You guys suck, I'll be honest.
We'll fucking get into the Vikings later. But he's a guy that, even against the Vikings this week, could have a good one. So 25%, go after him. The other one I was going to mention is, and this one might be a sneaky kind of like a sleeper style pick, or it could be a reaction off of week 2. And I'll ask you how you feel about this, Dave. N'Keal Harry, owned in 9% of leagues. He's available. Let's just put it out there. He's available. Week 1.
39% for ESPN, 9% for NFL.
He's only had, he had 7 points, 6.9. I'm rounding up to 7 for week 1. He had about 15 in week 2. He had his targets go from 6 to 12, where in last night's game, He had 2 red zone targets, didn't get a receiving touchdown though, but he's had 39 and then 72 yards against Oakland in week 3. He's got Oakland, KC, and Denver in his next 3. Should he even be someone to where even if you're not going to start him week 3, or even if you're not going to start him week 4 because the Chiefs would be his hardest matchup, should people roll the dice on a N'Keal Harry if they have a wide receiver injury?
He is somebody who seems like he's going to be their number 1 wide receiver, maybe. And I know that's asinine because I know Jules is still there. Yeah. Jules is still there, and Jules is still the guy who's going to shred you up the middle. But N'Keal Harry seems like that big boy threat on the outside, and that's what I like. That's the thing. But this team is so shit in the red zone as far as getting anybody else about. Is Cam Newton or bust in the red zone? That is the concern. So if you're playing PPR, then if you're 1 point PPR, N'Keal Harry might be an option. Obviously, Jules number 1, him too. But I don't know if he's a guy who I would lean on for the next couple of weeks, like you said, because he's got a couple of rough matchups, and I don't expect him to hit the end zone. He doesn't seem like the likely target. It seems like they are Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, and Cam Newton are on the same page as far as this goes, and Cam is the guy who's going to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those where is it going to pay off? Probably
I think long term, yes, but I don't know if you need him now. I think you can grab him post KC, and that might be the best opportunity for you. I don't know if you need him if you need a wide receiver against next week. We've listed off a lot of guys who I like better.
I may say go the other route of pick him up, even if you're not going to use him the next 2 weeks, pick him up now. So that, and it all depends on where your team is, because usually some teams it has either the IR spot where it's like, oh, I'm going to put this guy in reserve. You can pick somebody up that is like a N'Keal Harry. Or if you have someone that's expendable, I would pick him up now, and even if in 2 weeks he doesn't do anything and you have to drop him, at least you have him in case he pops. Because if he pops off against the Raiders, people are going to start picking him up, and he's going to skyrocket going into that Chiefs matchup, even if people don't play him against the Chiefs. The last thing fantasy-wise, though, Dave, we'll talk about, and this is the one where people are looking at Tyler Higbee, tight end, where if you don't have Mark Andrews, if you don't have Travis Kelce, George Kittle, we talked about him being injured. He missed week 2. Darren Waller, Zach Ertz hasn't been as consistent as we would have liked in 2 weeks, but Tyler Higbee this week completely went off after a modest 7-point performance in week 1 where he had 3 catches for 75 yards. This week, Dave, Tyler Higbee, 5 targets, 5 catches, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I'm going to basically ask the question of, is this basically a contender or a pretender for the tight ends? Should he be looked at as a viable, yes, start him tight end 1 week after week? Or was this just hey, he played an Eagles team that's been struggling and the Rams looked good?
I can't trust this Rams offense just yet. I like Tyler Higbee as an option, but multiple weeks of performance in a row is what builds character. You know, he had a couple. Obviously, he was the red zone threat, which is why you like him. He's got a big body. He's got a big, strong frame to him. I mean, 3 fucking touchdowns, though. 3 touchdowns. This Rams team, Buffalo, Giants, Washington. Buffalo's going to be rough. That team, although you have to question their quality of opponents. Week 1, Jets. Week 2, Dolphins. Neither one of them are world beaters. So the Buffalo Bills could be in for a wake-up call in this game. But Giants, Washington, I would be picking up Higbee and knowing that at least 2 of the next 3 weeks he will be a top 10 tight end because of those red zone touches he's looking to get.
Dave.
Jonnu Smith, no, roster only 40% of the league.
Dave, I was just going to say, I'm going to take one of your guys here. How is he only owned in fucking less than 0.5% of league? Where it's like, I would look at him as more of a tight end one, because looking at him.
He's a wide receiver, and he is too big, too strong, too fast. Like, so put him over at tight end.
His next 4 games, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, which I know Pittsburgh, tough defense.
Great defense.
They give up, though, they're ranked 17th against tight ends. Buffalo, who is ranked 25th. Houston, which is ranked 15th. Yes, Minnesota and Minnesota Steelers, maybe even Houston might be middle to top tier for tight ends, to go up against. Yeah. But he's a guy that's had more points in 2 weeks.
Receiver. He is their best receiver. I will go out on a limb. I know that sounds
12
sacrilegious.
12 targets in 2 weeks. He gets the targets. He makes the catches. Go get him.
He is. Go get him. I mean, 1 touchdown week 1, 2 touchdowns week 2. We expect by week 5 this man's setting records, right?
5 touchdowns for Jonnu Smith in week 3.
I mean,
the Vikings. Book it.
He was a guy I was high on coming into the season. I've been talking him up all season. If you haven't got on the train, it's not too late. Clearly, there's still 40% of the people, only 40% of the leagues have him rostered. So I would absolutely say wake up, smell the roses, understand what this Titans offense is trying to do out there, and put some respect on him. Now, what about these 1 week wonder kind of guys? Are we going to talk about a certain Mike Gesicki?
I was going to bring Dave. Quit living in my brain rent free, man, because you're sniping 2 names from me.
Is he?
I'd play him. I'd book 63% of leagues NFL style. I don't know if that's different, a lot different in ESPN leagues, but he had a good matchup against the Bill. Week 1 against New England. New England right now is the 4th toughest defense against tight ends.
They're incredible.
And he only had 6
points. And then they
points.
got dumpstered by the GOAT.
Yeah. Against Buffalo, though, Buffalo 25th ranked against tight ends. He had 27 points. He is now playing an arguably worse defense against tight ends in Jacksonville, who is the 2nd worst against tight ends in fantasy. If he had 11 targets in week 2, I don't even want to see how many he's going to have against Jacksonville. I say pick him up. I would say
I think one week wonder, though. I think next week is the only week you start him. I think he is a 1 week pump and dump.
I agree.
You play him, and then you're done with him because I don't think that he will be good going forward. I think that this Miami team, if they struggle again and if they lose game 3, maybe game 4, we're looking at Tua looking at a roster. So I'm just saying, I don't think Gesicki is the guy long term.
But if you pick him up now, you play him for next week, you keep him on the roster. When Tua comes in, maybe Tua has a good rapport with him. And then later on, that's the big thing. What's this team going to look like when Tua is the starter? Because Tua will be starting eventually. With tight ends, though, that's pretty, for me, that's pretty much where the line kind of almost gets drawn. The Greg Olsen experiment, he had 1 target in yesterday's game.
And it got intercepted into a pick 6, and then he was told to sit the fuck down.
However, against
Greg Olsen's job is over.
Against Atlanta, that is giving up points to tight ends, he had a good game. So maybe yet again,
his job is over.
Maybe with tight ends, if you can't get a Jonnu Smith, who you should be picking up if you don't have him already, you should be picking him up. The last question I'll pretty much ask about tight ends, Dave, because Sean brought this up in our watch along yesterday in Discord. Is the Dallas Goedert experiment over, where he had 24 points week 1, only 7 points against the Rams week 2?
No, it's not over. It's just Carson Wentz is a worse quarterback than everybody wanted him to be. Carson Wentz was on a streak a year ago where it looked like he was going to be the MVP of the league. Mm-hmm. This year, he looks like he should be a backup quarterback holding a clipboard. Okay. He is abysmal, and I don't know what to chalk it up to. He's so bad that I don't know that they know what to do with him, because it's not just his offensive line. Mm-hmm. It's not his receiver's fault. It's not his running back's fault. I don't know what he's doing. He's missing throws in a secure pocket now.
Yeah.
He has regressed to the point where I just don't trust him as a quarterback. But if there's any position that should get touches from an uneasy quarterback, it should be the tight end. The tight end is his safety blanket. They're that little teddy bear. Yeah. You give him the teddy bear, he'll hold it, he'll feel safe. That's the whole point of a tight end out there. It's a big boy.
I love
He's the only guy. And I understand the situation going on. The contract situation is still ongoing. Mm-hmm. Which means, are they going to lean into him? Are they not? I don't know. Zach Ertz is a great idea, but I don't think he's the guy they're sticking with. I think that they really like him more.
Yeah. And really, like, tight end to me is that, though, where, like I mentioned, if you've got one of the tops, you're good. But like me, I drafted Zach Ertz. I'm in a little bit of a shuffle right now. So maybe
you got dumpstered on.
Like I picked up OJ Howard this week thinking that would be a good, like, sneaky pick. After this week, I don't know if I dump him already. If I keep him, I'm not going to dump him. I know, like, I've been playing fantasy enough to know you don't make those reactionary picks so quickly. If you're going to pick up a guy that you think is going to be a sleeper, sometimes you got to give it a week or two. But also, if the hot hand is out, it's kind of like poker at a table.
You got to know.
Ride the hot hand, and then once you got the Kevin Spacey hands behind the back, you got to know when to get out. When to get out.
Know when to hold them.
Got to have your winner chicken dinners, Dave. But the next thing we're going to move on to is before we recap week 2 of the NFL, we got to go.
Kenny Rogers love.
I'm just going to let you go with it. Going to let you go with it. Got to go with the got to know when to hold them. Yeah. Got to go with the remix edition, Dave. But we will move into a segment we love to do here. These are our dampest of dudes, our soggiest of shooters, our moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our wet boys. These are the players that have popped off either the day before, the weekend before, and we want to give some special love to. Also, what we're doing today in Wet Boys is after we give love to the people that we want to give love to, Dave and I are going to talk basketball for a little bit because there were basketball games, Dave, that happened over the weekend. I don't know if everyone noticed. There's no basketball game tonight, which is sad face, but they will pick up Tuesday and then Wednesday. But Dave, as I always do, you're the first one that goes. I go second. The Patreon's at patreon.com/MVPvids at silver or above level. Get to pick a patron as well, or get to pick a wet boy, I should say, as well. But I'll let you start. Who's your wet boy for September 21st, 2020?
My wet boy is none other than Russell fucking Wilson, the future MVP of the NFL. The man who has been basically ignored and looked down on for years after doing nothing but being fantastic. Russell Wilson's incredible, and the disrespect to the West Coast is just insane. I can't imagine a guy who can do more and be overlooked more. He's fucking amazing. I think the number
like, what else can I say about the man?
He had 9 touchdowns, and I think he's only up to 14 incompletions. Mm-hmm. And out of that, it was 1 interception, which was caused by the ball literally hitting Greg Olson's hands and being pick-sixed.
Yes.
3 drops. So if you take that into consideration, he's got a 1-to-1 touchdown to incompletion ratio, which is insane.
Yeah.
He has like an 82.5% completion rating. In 2 weeks, he has 9 touchdowns. I mean, just think about these numbers. He is on pace for shattering NFL records right now. They have unleashed Russell Wilson on the league, and I feel bad for any defense that has to go up against him because Mina Kimes put it this way, and I love their tweet. It was something along the lines, I'm going to misquote it because it's a tweet, so it's short.
By the way, I thought about her during the game because at the last play of the game, of course they showed the Super Bowl play.
Of course they showed it.
Of course, whenever I see that, I think of Mina.
Because it was a fourth quarter with seconds to go on the 1-yard line. If the Patriots score, the game is over. Oh, it felt it felt so good.
But what was her tweet?
Mina Kimes was like, the only person I know who can make rainbows look bad is Russell Wilson. It was something like that. It was like the deep balls by Russell Wilson make rainbows look bad or something. I was like, he does just the arm angle and the slinging it like, he is insane. So I just love best to Russell Wilson.
And you know what's the best thing about Russ that I'll give him credit for? He was interviewed after the game because he was obviously the player of the game.
So genuine. NBC. It seems fake. Like he's got that Tim Tebow fake. He's so good he can't be this good. I don't want to believe it, but he is that good.
But I can't hate him for it. That's the thing.
No, he's not hateable.
He was asked about the game, and he was like, "Well, I think it was Tracy. Well, Tracy, Like, before I get into everything, I just gotta, like, I have a heavy heart today. And he just goes right into the James White stuff because obviously they were teammates at Wisconsin. And I'm like, what a guy. What a guy. He's on this, like, he's on this platform.
It's an incredibly tough situation for James White. I mean, potentially losing both parents in one accident one day is just, I can't even imagine what that's like. But yeah,
taking the words right out of my mouth.
Great human being.
My wet boy Dave, I'm going to the gridiron also. Somebody who, hey Jerry, give him his goddamn money because he deserves it. Just a little Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air, had 450 yards, Dave. He is the first quarterback in NFL history to have 450 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns in a comeback win against the Falcons. You know who almost had this wet boy, Dave?
Who's that?
Matty Ice. Matty Ice was gonna be my wet boy. I was gonna flex on the show.
But what happened?
What happened,
Ricky?
It wasn't Matt Ryan's fault.
Was it this? Did the Falcons do this?
The Falcons did. Wasn't Matt Ryan's fault. I'm still defending my guy. He was a steal by me in the last round of the MVP fantasy draft.
He's not a steal when he wasn't a top 10 quarterback in a 10-person league.
So Dak Prescott though needs his money. Let's give all the respect to Dak. He's a great quarterback. Jerry is going to be an idiot when Dak walks or gets traded to another team because he doesn't want to even play for the Cowboys anymore. And he is going to look like an idiot when Dak walks because I don't think Jerry's going to give him his money, but I hope Dak plays more like this because he deserves his money.
What else would Jerry do with his money? That's the question. Like, what are they going to do? Start Andy fucking Dalton down there?
I could see Jerry Jones being that spiteful.
Unless Jerry Jones... the NFL doesn't do sign-in trades.
Yeah.
So you can't sign-in trade Dak Prescott for the number 1 overall pick to the fucking Jets over there. Mm-hmm. But, like, if he could, maybe picks up Sam Darnold on the cheap when the Jets pick up the little locks, Golden Locks, and Trevor Lawrence out there.
But then, you're saying, like, Dak walks and then he trades for Sam Darnold?
Yeah, because Trevor Lawrence will be a Jet.
You're right. The patron wet boy, Dave, they're going gridiron as well. They're going for a team that both you and I hate, but we got to respect the performance. Aaron Jones, 18 carries, 168 yards, 2 tutties, a 75-yard long run, had a game.
I'll be honest. I'm totally cool with this. He was my fantasy running back. I smoked the MVP league with Aaron Jones out there. It wasn't even particularly close. I think I was winning by 70 with Alvin Kamara still playing tonight, and with Michael Thomas out. That means I'm only going to win by about 120. Yeah. That's going to be real fair. Unfortunate for you, whoever I'm facing this week. I don't even know who I'm facing.
You're playing the GOAT squad.
Who am I? It's Austin. Poor Austin.
I think you're playing Austin.
He is going to lose by over 100 points. But Aaron Jones had it himself. Like I said, he's a Christian McCaffrey Award winner of the week. Excellent performance this week. I don't even hate them. I hated them when Brett Favre was there. Aaron made me like in a point where I love Brett Favre. Okay. He actually was at the game for the Buccaneers. Got a little hate. He was in the stands against the Bucs eating some chips without a mask on, and people were giving him a lot of hate.
Mask bad. But mask good. Wear your mask.
It is what it is. But yeah, Aaron Jones, fantastic performance. Aaron Rodgers appreciates your support, and keep on doing what you're doing. But when it comes down to it, the worst 2-0 team in the league will beat you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, looking at our fantasy, give a little update into the Monday games before we talk basketball. I'm beating JD 128-70, and I've got my kicker tonight. Good luck. Sam is losing to Sean 93-130. Sean has one player, and Sam has one player. I'll actually click on it to see who they have. Sam has Drew Brees tonight. Sean has the Saints defense. It's going to be interesting if Sam can pull that one out.
Philly Sean. In regards to Aaron Jones, I have to go back.
Go ahead.
He did have 68 receiving yards and yet another touchdown that you didn't include on that card.
Good point. I should have put the total touchdowns there. That was on me. You're beating Austin 153, Dave, to 88.
Yeah, it's not close, and it's going to get worse for him.
Like you said Alvin Kamara tonight, and
they don't have Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and he's got Jacobs tonight. So really, if that cancels out, you still win.
Right now, I'm winning by what is that? About 20, 50, just shy of 70. I expect to win by about 90.
But then we had 2 close games, Dave, where Mark and Kyle went down to the wire. They've got nobody left. Mark lost 139 to 135.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
Because Mark had Tyreek Hill had a good game. Dak Prescott almost had 40 points. DJ Moore with 20. Kelsey with 24. But Kyle, man, Patrick Mahomes 27. Connors with 20. Tyler Lockett had 19. You had 25 from Julian Edelman. Like Edelman and Lockett basically won Kyle the game. And then Brandon is up 3 points, 96-93 on Tim. And Brandon has, 2 guys tonight? He's got Waller and Lutz tonight. So he's going to attack on more points.
He will continue to attack on points. Yeah, I agree.
So really nobody. No comebacks on Monday night for the MVP league. But Dave, there were some basketball games. Let's talk about them. We'll talk about the West first because they were yesterday. Friday, the Lakers won 126-114. And then yesterday, the Nuggets played a hell of a game. I remember with like 4 minutes left, we were in the watch-along for the Discord. AD hit that 3. And I know Philly Sean had mentioned it. He's like, that's the dagger. And I was like, don't count out the Nuggets yet. They can come back. And they did. But then there was a little bit of switching where, to me in real time,
that Plumlee switch.
It looked like originally when I was watching it in real time, I was like, man, Grant didn't switch clean enough. Like he should have been going for AD because AD was already like you knew he was going to shoot. That was on his mind. He was going Kobe for that final shot.
He called Kobe apparently during the shot.
He did. He called Kobe. Same shot he hit the first one. Philly Sean saying that's a dagger for the series. I don't think so. I think the Nuggets still have a chance in this one. They've shown resiliency. They showed that they could play tough with the Lakers.
They got them just where they want them. They need to win one game. Let the Lakers win one more game, then it's on.
It's like Sam said. Nuggets will win game 3. Lakers will win game 4. Nuggets win the series in 7. That's what I'm banking on.
I mean, that is exactly the Nuggets game plan. I'm sure that's how they drew it up. But yeah, it was a hell of a series out in the West. Lakers have got it wrapped up at 2-0. I think it's over. I think we're looking at a Lakers championship run right here. This is.
You think they'll win it all?
Rondo? Can we just mention the fact that Rajon Rondo is a fucking savant still in all of the shit talk he endured through the year. All of this man doesn't deserve his minutes. Alex Caruso should get all of his minutes. Doesn't deserve anything. Like all this horrible filth, spewed by these ignorant.
It's weird being on the other side of that, by the way. Usually I'm that.
Yeah, spewed by these ignorant ass fans.
Like the console
on Reddit, on ESPN. What's up?
I was like, console? Console?
Console?
The council.
On the council. Yeah, no. That was bad by you, but yes. Basically, just
Rondo's been the MVP.
Rondo is amazing, and y'all need to just put some respect on the name that he is going into the Hall of Fame. He is an excellent player. Boston. He is an all-time great. And he will be a fantastic coach someday.
I'm still saying
but in the meantime, he's going to win the Lakers a championship, which is the funniest statement to say in 2020. I mean, if you told somebody in 2011 that Rajon Rondo will help the Lakers win a championship,
Celtics fans would bash you over the head.
You would be murdered. That man was as Celtic as you could get. He was. I mean, they drafted him, Paul Pierce, and him. Celtics through and through. KG, anything is possible. Ray Allen, that team was special. And now you have Rondo helping the Lakers. And I mean, it's just, it's the smarts. Like, he clearly has lost so many steps on the court, but the disrespectful plays he puts on the Nuggets, I mean, you got to admit, like, when he wants to rub it in your face, he rubs it in your face. I love the man.
I'm still bringing up, and Pat's going to get mad that I'm bringing this up. Would have swept Boston. If he
would have swept Boston 8-1.
Yeah, what a swept them. The other side, Dave, Jimmy Butler finally loses a game. The Celtics finally close one out. Is this one going to be a series? Picks up, like, this was the weird one that, like, game 4 should have been tonight, but but because the Eastern Conference Finals are on ESPN having Monday Night Football, this one waits until Wednesday.
Yep.
Did the Celtics, are they going to be coming back in this series, or is this like, okay, they got the Heat this one, but this is still the Heat series to lose?
No, I truly believe this is going to be a fight to the finish. Like, this is two very good teams, two very
This one will
teams.
go 7?
I think it could go 7. I think Gordon Hayward coming back, he didn't look amazing, but he was good enough to the point where I felt like he helped that team just by being available.
Yeah.
I still think that it's very much Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, game to win and lose. Kemba Walker is a scumbag. I will repeat it ad nauseum until people understand my feelings. I can't hate a man more than Kemba Walker, or Kember, as Stephen A. Smith responds to him as.
Kemba.
But no, that fucking Heat team, they just had a rough night shooting. Like, they could not, their shots did not fall. No one could knock down a 3, and that is a team that has been very 3 dependent. So the thing is, I went back and I checked it out, and I was like, okay, was it excellent Celtics defense?
Yeah.
The answer was not really.
On some plays, I would say there was.
Some were contested threes, yes, but if you looked at the missed threes, it was over. I think the number I had down at the end of the night was about 45% of the threes that they missed were not contested closely. So that's just honestly like the Heat shooting themselves in the foot. Like, that was just like shots they normally can make, they didn't make. So off shooting night for them. I truly believe they will bounce back and be better than ever. But the one narrative going through the series has always been the fact that the Celtics are able to jump out to a lead, and it's always this Miami Heat team led by Jimmy Butler playing catch-up. And it always feels like they have that underdog momentum going with them. And Jimmy mentioned, like, I hate playing from behind. This is getting old. Like, I wonder what adjustments they're going to make going forward in the rotation to help fix that, because I truly think that the best team right now is absolutely the Miami Heat. But I think talent-wise, I do think they're very close, and I love what the Boston Celtics bring to the table.
Because the one thing I'm trying to look for, and I'm looking in the fourth quarter, and I can't remember which shot it was. I think it was one of the threes that I think it was the one with 18 seconds left, maybe, or maybe the one before that with Duncan Robinson. Like, there was one of them that was taken from 3. I think it was the one Duncan Robinson took after the flagrant foul. One of them, where taking the shot, I was like, that seemed like a bad shot selection. The Celtics were all over him. It didn't look like it was like put up, like I got to put it up this high to get it over the hand of Jason Tatum. And then, like, after that, everyone in the watch room was like, okay, this game is pretty much over from this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that the Celtics proved, though, for me was, I think it was Jay Williams at the halftime report for ESPN, hit the nail on the head, was thinking the exact same thing I was. They asked him, they're like, well, are the Celtics going to win this, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, they haven't proved anything. Prove you can close out in the second half, and then we'll start talking about it. He's like, I got nothing to say. They haven't proved anything.
To their credit, Miami did outscore Boston in the second half of the game. But again, when Jay Crowder has changed, he's now shooting. He shot 2 of 10 from the field. Goran 1 of 5, and Tyler Hero just 4 of 12 from 3. Yeah. For a team average of 27%. You can't win a game shooting 27% on 44 fucking attempts. Yeah. Like, that's not something that's possible. It was a hell of an effort by this team. I thought that, they just didn't have it. It just didn't click. Things didn't fall. Goran obviously ate the biggest L. I think it was, no check. He's a minus 29. He was out there during some horrible runs in that first and second quarter. The second half of that game really swung back wildly. It made you believe the Heat could come back up until they couldn't,
Well, let's move on, Dave. And NBA going to pick up Tuesday, game not tonight. So tomorrow we'll probably not be talking game action. But there will be the Western Conference Finals picks up on Tuesday. Let's end the show recapping week 2 of the NFL. We go through every game. We kind of give our thoughts on it. And we will start off we always start off with Chicago, unless they're like Sunday night or Monday night. But they're a 12 o'clock game. We start off with them. Giants, Bears, 13-17 was the score. Mitch Trubisky had 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Dave, you're the Bear fan. I'll let you go first on this one. What was your takeaway from this game?
2 weeks and 2 games we did not deserve to win, and yet the Bears are sitting here at 2-0. How do I feel? I feel a mix of anger and happiness.
And you might be sitting at 3-0 after the Falcons.
With Mitchell Trubisky, because I don't want him.
Yeah,
he is the most inconsistent quarterback in such a long time to have for the Bears team. Like Jay Cutler is Jay Cutler through and through, and you knew exactly what you were going to get out of him, and you could count on that week in and week out. And it feels like Mitch Trubisky. Like, okay, great. 3 quarters of shit. Then we have a quarter of excellence where he's literally the best quarterback next to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Starts off the game very hot, and then he gets very cold to end the game. So it's like it's a matter of these shifts, and it carries from game to game almost. The way I'm reading into it, we'll see week 3. But I feel for the fucking Giants. Danny Dimes out there. He needs an offensive line. The Bears did not deserve to win this game, and like I said, yet again, we won. So I think we're the worst 2-0 team in the league. I think our defense is still excellent. I think that we still want to have a new quarterback.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing that sucks as a Bears fan is winning games means that Mitch Trubisky is not getting replaced. And yet I feel like we would be in a much better place. Even at 2-0, I'm saying replacing him with Nick Foles. Sam, you're saying fugly wins still count. I'm saying it is better to be lucky than good sometimes.
Yeah.
But in the case where you're trying to replace your starting quarterback and not pay him millions and millions of dollars, I'm sorry, I had to McAfee that one. I've been watching so much of his show. I don't want to do it. I don't want to pay Mitch Trubisky $25 million a year. Well, it would hurt my soul.
And that's why for me, in the watch along yesterday, they were kind of talking about the Bears. And for me, my opinion is just basically, all right, what happened. Like Sam asked me like, what are you like expecting me, the Vikings, come the Viking fan? And I went back and I looked through my predictions through 2 weeks, except for the NFC East and like a couple teams that I thought would be like 0-2, but they're 1-1. I'm really not like, I haven't been wrong about much when it comes to records. Like the one that I was spot on with is the AFC North, Dave. Exactly how it is, I am exactly right through 2 weeks. What happens has happened. And with the Bears, I thought they would be 2-0. Like, being 2-0 isn't a surprise. The surprise is how ugly the games have looked and how, like, we have said where it's like, well, the Bears didn't deserve to win this one, to where the next 3 games for me are the most important in this Bears and Mitch Trubisky timeline. Because I'm telling you, if Matt Ryan comes out and plays like he played in game 2, Mitch ain't coming. Like Mitch ain't coming back. Like, but that's what I'm saying.
Impossible. Our corners and our defense is so much better than what he's played so far.
And that's the thing. The Bears defense will be the one variable in this. Where like, if Mitch Trubisky is put in the situation that Dak Prescott was in, he ain't coming back. He ain't coming back.
What did you do to the fucking Detroit Lions, though?
Indy's see, but Detroit is worse. Like I say, Detroit's worse than Atlanta. That's what I think.
Detroit's a bad team, but Atlanta clearly can't hold a lead. Their defense falls to shit.
Yeah.
And Mitch Trubisky in the fourth quarter is basically, I don't fucking know.
I don't have the trust in him.
Incredible.
I don't have the trust in him.
I want you to trust him. That's my point.
But
you don't know. You can't cap his talent because when he decides to turn it on. I will
cap his talent.
No,
I will.
When he decides to turn it on, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. He's got Rex Grossman vibes written all over him. He's going to have a 158 quarterback rating in one quarter. He's going to have a 14 in the next.
I just then the second week, yet again, the defense is the variable. Colts offense. How good are they going to look against the Bears defense?
That Colts team.
Because if the Colts wake up I'm telling you, Mitch is not winning a duel with Phillip Rivers in my mind. Now the Paris Campbell injury complicates some things. The Marlon Mack injury complicates some things. And then TB on Thursday Night Football, when Tom Brady comes to town, if Godwin and Evans are both healthy for that game, dear God, I pray for the Bears in that one, because it will be over by halftime. Like, that is like the next 3 games. Yet again, this is going into what I thought the Bears season would be. Are you hoping to
end Mitch Trubisky's career? Because that would be great.
Well, I think that the next 3 games will end Mitch's career, because I think the Bears will be 0-3 in the next 3 and go 2-3. And then at Carolina, Carolina might be the linchpin, because after going 0-3, I don't think Matt Nagy will bench him. But if he gets let's say they go 0-3 and then he gets outplayed by Teddy Bridgewater, I think Nick Foles is starting Monday night against the Rams. Like, that's what I feel. Like, 0-4 gets outplayed by Teddy in that 4th game. Yet again, this is a lot that needs to happen. Maybe Mitch does look good against the Falcons team that the defense kind of shits the bed in the 4th. But, like, the whole thing of I don't like quarterbacks when it's, oh, you're shit for 3 quarters and then you turn it on. I want you to be good all the time.
Well, ideally you would get that, but that's just not where the Bears are at this season. Yeah. So I think a lot of Bears fans are agreeing with you, and they want to happen what you're predicting to happen. They would love to have us lose a couple of games, Mitch Trubisky struggles, and we see Nick Foles at quarterback. And either Nick Foles can win with this team and we're in business, or Nick Foles sucks and we get a great quarterback in the draft and we don't have to spend $20 million on either one of these guys. Now, do I think Big Dick Nick can win games with the Bears? I absolutely do. So I think we're going to end up with a quarterback in the first round, but it won't be Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately, because he will go 1 overall. But I think we'll get some talented quarterback play one way or the other.
Yeah. On the other side, the Giants, just very quickly.
Poor fucking Giants.
Because of the Saquon injury, I've seen this on Twitter, and I completely agree. Tank for Trevor Lawrence. Just tank, like Saquon, like the biggest thing.
That Danny deserves to be gone? You're wrong.
No, I'm saying that would you not, if you're the Giants, would you not want to, Saquon's done, so your best player's out for the year. Why not tank for Trevor Lawrence and then next year have your quarterback of the future set and your running back of the future set?
They already do. It's Danny Dimes, Saquon Barkley.
So you would take Danny Dimes over Trevor Lawrence?
I don't know why you guys.
No.
Why you and Sean hated
this is Danny not Dimes this is not so a hating Danny Dimes. This is a Trevor Lawrence is going to be generational. That's what I mean by this. If you have a shot at Trevor Lawrence, you take it.
I don't disagree, because I think I have the same stance on the Jets.
Yes.
And they have Sam Darnold, who I like more than Danny Dimes. And I still think they would take Trevor Lawrence. I think the idea of trading back for additional picks never pays out. I think in theory it sounds great, but the NFL...
That's more of an NBA thing.
No, in the NFL it happens a lot.
No, I mean, like, it works better in the NBA is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the NBA, there's chances where it can pay off better. The NFL, it's like, oh, look at the Ricky Williams trade, and they traded their whole draft for him. Yeah, who'd they get? Fucking nobodies.
Yeah.
Fucking nobodies who did nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure that's an insult to anybody who has any relationship to those players. But let's be honest, how many wins did they add to the team and how many wins did Ricky Williams add? At the end of the career, about even, I bet. Same thing for, like, Mitch Trubisky trade. At the end of their career, I bet you still Mitch Trubisky paid off okay.
Yeah, like, probably.
Thomas is gone again, so no games there. Don't give a shit there. He was never a above average replacement player. So at the end of the day, am I angry about the fact that we traded up? Yes, but did they get anything from it? Not really.
We went through the trade too, like a week or two ago, and really the only one for one you could say is, well, you guys took Tariq Cohen with one of the picks. The Saints got it and took Alvin Kamara, but like, who even knows if Kamara was even on the Bears board?
Exactly.
Go ahead with. If you got a final thought, go with it.
I agree. I think that if they're able to, I think they're too good to be the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think the Jets are by far the worst team in the NFL, and it's not particularly close. I like Danny Jones
more so than the Bengals.
The Bengals are a good team. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just saying, like,
week in and week out,
they're a team that'll compete, but will they win? Will they win games? That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
They looked more competitive than the Jets and the Giants in both of their games. I 100% believe in Joe Burrows. I 100% believe in what that team is doing. I think they're going to be in a good place moving forward. I think the Jets are by far the worst team in the NFL. I think the Lions are probably the second worst team in the NFL. So I think those are the two teams you're looking at top going quarterback in this draft. I don't think that anybody else should be, but that's just the way I see the season as of today.
Like I will say, the Bengals are probably the one team right now after 2 weeks that I'm thinking if you're number one, you're trading out of that because Joe Burrows is going to be a franchise quarterback.
Oh, he is. He's been about 61 times, and I'm like, well, that's horrible play calling, but I still kind of am okay with it.
Yeah. The next game, Dave, Falcons blow a big lead, don't even score. They're up 29-10 at half. They get outscored in the second half. If my math is correct, 29 to nothing in the second half. They lose 40-39. Dak has a game. We talked about it before. What's your biggest takeaway? The Cowboys winning this game or the Falcons losing this game?
I mean, you gotta take away the Cowboys winning a game late. That was the expectation because we watched their game last week against the 49ers, and that was such a critical series of plays. And you watched that whole game on the edge of your seat because you knew how close these two teams were. And on paper, you wanted the Cowboys fans wanted them to win, 49ers fans, and maybe a lot of the nation who hates the Cowboys wanted to lose, obviously. But it was a good sign for the Cowboys this week. It was Dak Prescott showing up. He looked good out there. Like you said, he deserved the wet boy, and I have no issues with that. The Falcons are who we thought they were. They're a big old punching bag of offense, and they got nothing on defense. And they're going to keep losing games because they can't do dick out there. So I had this chalked up from day one. This is not a surprise to me. This is not a shocker. I told you that Matt Ryan was going to throw for 1 billion yards, and they were still going to lose the game because it doesn't fucking matter what he does out there. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I was thinking about after this one was not so much on the Cowboys. Not that. It was in our
that's what I was thinking.
In our text group for the fantasy league that we're in with Mark and our other friends, I saw someone text out should the Falcons fire Quinn or should Quinn get fired? And my first thought, Dave, was what did Brady Quinn say? Did Brady Quinn say something stupid on commentary that deserved to get fired? He did not. And then I realized, they're talking about Dan Quinn, the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, which would make more sense. And there's a part of me that's like, not right now. Like, I saw that and I was like, it's only been 2 games. Like, there have been teams that even out their series or even out their seasons after 2 games. The NFL Red Zone crew. Yeah, but the NFL Red Zone crew made a good point of because of the extra playoff team this year, because we're getting 7 playoff teams now, the percentages for 0-2 teams only make the playoffs this percentage of the time. That percentage is increased a little bit or should be increased a little bit because there's now an extra slot to get in. And where it's like Atlanta, I don't think any of the teams that are 0-2 or many of the teams that are 0-2, I don't think it's like a death sentence. It's just I said most of the Giants, the Bengals, the Jets. Those are teams that are
they're not making the playoffs.
That are not going to. But the Falcons and the Vikings, those are 2 that I think of where it's like
you keep telling yourself that. We'll talk Vikings in a minute.
No,
here,
we are. But neither of these teams in my mind are going to be 4-win team, 5-win teams. And with the Falcons, the thing that's going to be crucial is their next 4 or 5 games. Not even that. I think their next, basically up until November 22nd, is very crucial because the Bears could be winnable. Carolina twice. Carolina could be winnable. Minnesota, with how Minnesota has played, could be winnable. Detroit should be winnable. Denver, because of their injuries in Atlanta, should be winnable. And I know it's a lot of should be winnables, but the only really tough game that's no, they ain't going to win that one is in Green Bay for week 4 on Monday Night Football, to where it's the rest of their schedule right now until November 22nd has a lot of very winnable games, to where it's I'm pumping the brakes on them being an 11-win team like I thought they would be.
No shit.
But I still think this Falcons team could at the worst be an 8-9 win team this season.
Keep going down. That's all I have to say. I think they're closer to my prediction than your prediction.
Okay. Do you remember how many wins you had them at?
I want to say
5 wins?
5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that far just because, I know that football any given Sunday, the Bears, Mitch Trubisky can come out and light it
bad.
up.
Their defensive play calling is so horrendous. 28-3 happened, and that was their existence. That's who the Falcons were for years. And now this game happens. I go, oh, guess nothing's changed. Yeah. Guess they just haven't evolved as a team. They haven't gotten any better on the defensive end. They haven't schemed better. Their defensive tendencies are seemingly the same. I mean, they haven't fixed shit.
Yeah.
Why would I expect them to get better just because they keep adding more talent on offense? I respect their offensive talent. It's incredible. It's top notch. What Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Gage now added on that team. Even Gurley, to his own credit, hasn't played poorly yet. He's been healthy, so credit to him. But that team is not built to win games. That team is built to win fantasy points. Okay.
Yeah, I could see it. I think the Falcons are going to be, though, a wait-and-see case of what we see. Sure. The next game, though, Lions-Packers, for me, the biggest takeaway from this, the Packers are the best team in the NFC North, and it's not even close. I know that Detroit, this was a game that both you and I were this game was not going to be close, but even with Devonta Adams, I think the Packers, whether it's through Aaron Jones, whether it's through Aaron Rodgers, whether it's with Aaron, whatever his name is, the water boy on the bench, they've just got Aarons out there for days. This is the team that is through 2 weeks, I'm book it, NFC North champions. They're going to be at the top. They've shown me through 2 weeks that they are a great football team. The question is with the Packers, can they get it done in the playoffs?
100%. I mean, this Packers team is dominant. They're on a different level. Aaron Rodgers winning out of sheer spite and hatred for his own organization is wonderful. I love everything about it. Aaron Jones killing it in fantasy for me, being that all-purpose back and proving a point that, you know what? That second-round running back they took in Dillon, not the worst thing, because when he runs off for a 46-yard sprint, he needs a breather after that. When you go 46 yards untouched, you got to catch your breath after that play. Let the kid go in and play one down, and then you can go back in the game. That team fucked up so bad in the draft. Which admit, if they drafted correctly, this team would be Super Bowl favorites today. Instead of we've got a quarterback who is not dressing for game day in their first round pick in Jordan Love. We've got a second round pick who is getting 2 touches a game in AJ Dillon, and we got a third round pick backup tight end who is getting barely a touch. I fucking what? You fucking what? That? It's awful. It's embarrassing. But Aaron Rodgers is incredible. That defense is good enough. The Lions are terrible. Matt Patricia's going to get fired soon. And yeah, I mean, when you look at the NFC North, we haven't talked about your Vikings quite yet, but the Bears are the worst 2-0 team in the NFL. The Lions are a terrible football team. Matt Patricia somehow forgets how to play defense when it counts because that's what they're known for now. That's just a thing that we do. And the Vikings are potentially one of the worst teams in football after watching them for 2 weeks, and it's just they have so many holes in that team. So yeah, the Packers are fucking untouchable up there right now. The only way another team wins the NFC North is if the Bears continue the sheer dumb luck streak and we just fall into first place because of dumb luck. And I'd be okay with it, but I don't even want to root for that at this point. I'm fuck, can we lose Mitch after 3 games and then we get Nick Foles and we go on a roll, and I'll take second place. We'll go to the playoffs. We'll do our damage in the playoffs, but I don't want Mitch to be our guy.
Yeah. And for me, we'll get to the Vikings obviously in a little bit, but the Packers to me, I think because of what I've seen from the other teams, the Packers are going to win this division. At the end of the day,
yeah, everyone predicted it. No one predicted differently. So this is a non-shocker. It's a starter for an argument.
Next
But
game, though,
yeah.
Jaguars Titans. And I know I should be asking about the Titans, Dave, but all I can think about is Gardner Minshew going to be like, are the Jaguars going to be that net this year? That
Absolutely.
We all thought that was going to be bad, but they're just, you're like, nah, and you're just like trying to swat them away to where, are they going to be better than we all thought they were going to be? I'm not saying playoffs.
They're already better than we thought they were going to be. Like, Gardner Minshew, 19-20 in his first game, sets a fucking record in the NFL. Second game, hell of a comeback. This game should not have been that close.
Yeah.
The Titans team were just a defense that was staunch.
9
They
points.
were supposed to be
9 points they scored in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't have been this close. A hell of an effort by the Jaguars. Hell of an effort by the Minshew Mania. I mean, the Titans are still a top-tier team in the NFL, but the Jaguars aren't as bad as we thought they'd be. They give away talent left and right, and yet they still find a way to compete. And 2 weeks in, I am impressed.
You know what's even more impressive, or it's the thing that could happen?
Yeah.
This team could be 4-2 after the next 4 weeks.
Who
Miami could be a win.
Could be a win.
Now, Joe Burrow's in Cincinnati. That could be a close one.
That's a fucking toss-up.
Joe Burrows could win them that game, but like the next game, Houston, if they've played the first two divisional, like
I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself then.
I'm just saying, Houston, Jaguars have played two divisional opponents tough, and they beat one of them. Houston has not impressed me after 2 weeks. Then you have Miami, which is a win. The Burrows, not even the Bengals. Just
Again,
Joe
I don't
Burrow
know if you
could be
can
a
count
toss-up.
Miami as a win. Fitzmagic has yet to appear.
I think so. Like in Jacksonville, I know that Jacksonville kind of.
Oh, the home crowd advantage down there in Florida is insane with all those fans.
I mean, hey, Florida, they could be letting people in. Who knows? They do
Nobody
things weird
wants to
down
go.
there.
They literally had 13,000 seats open, and nobody wanted to fucking go to their game.
The other team is the Detroit Lions. So,
They're
like
awful.
for me, there's a good chance in my mind. This team is either 3-3 or 4-2 after the next 4 weeks. Like
I agree. I think they could be 3-3 after the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
they are a above expectations team. They are performing beyond my expectations. I thought they had given up all their talent, and they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna go and murder the draft again. That's cool with y'all. We're gonna reload real quick." But Minshew, man, that mustache cannot be trifled with.
and the Titans have to be feeling pretty good. This is going to be a segue into the next game, Dave, because of who the Titans play next week. The Titans should feel pretty good about themselves because they play a team that lost 28-11. My team, the Minnesota Vikings, who
essentially the worst team in football.
3 points in the fourth quarter, 8 points in the last quarter. Kirk Cousins, 11 of 26, 3 interceptions. Dear God, I hate Kirk Cousins. That's what I'm feeling. I do not like this, Dave. And the thing that I am like,
down for what?
Is
11 wins? 12 wins?
I had him 10 wins. I am 10 wins missing the playoffs. So, like, yet again, the 10 wins I did say in the prediction, maybe my Viking bias coming out. But at least I didn't have this Viking team making the playoffs, because if I did, that would have looked very bad. Like, through 2 weeks now, I look at this team and I go, hey, Kirk, when are you going to be the guy we paid for? When are you going to be that guy? Because, yes, I know the defense. We talked about the defense week 1. It's not all there. We still need improvements to happen on that side. But when you have that and you don't have that safety blanket on the defensive side, when you make interceptions and make mistakes, or I should say throw interceptions and make mistakes, we're going to lose football games. And like as a Viking fan, I'm sitting here and I'm going, with the talent that we have, I feel like we have a chance to where if we're 8-8, I'm happy. Like, but that's what I'm looking like from this team. We're going to be 9 wins at the best, 8 wins at best, but
you
really
think
probably a 7-9
9 games.
We're not going to go 0-16. I think we'll be big. Like we'll be 8-7 is what I'm looking at realistically.
I think you're realistically optimistic.
Yeah, well,
I think that is
I could see us being 6-10.
8-win team.
I can see us being 6-10, but 6-10 is like
6-10 sounds about right.
Here's the problem though with the Vikings. They have Kirk Cousins locked down for 3 years.
Correct.
We just gave Mike Zimmer an extension. I don't think Mike Zimmer is the problem. I think Kirk Cousins is the problem. Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback we thought he would be, and we're stuck with him for 2 more years. He had
a good playoff performance last year. The big criticism against him was when the lights are bright, Kirk Cousins can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
He did last year, and you were feeling great about it. And I understand why you were high on this team because everything was rolling. I have to question. Obviously, we talked about the people moving on the defense. You guys spent a lot of draft capital on defensive players. You didn't get better. You lost a lot of seniority out there, a lot of continuity on that defense, which hurt you a lot. And it's very clear what's going on. But on the offensive end, I have to ask, like, what's the Stephon Diggs effect like? Like, what is different about this team with Adam Thielen being the only prime receiver and being 2 younger guys under him who are kind of the 2 and 3, but obviously a question mark out there. Like, is that what's hurting Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, for me, it's what I see as like Thielen had 8 targets. Jefferson had 3. He caught all 3 of them. Johnson had 3. Smith Jr. had 4. It's like the thing, and I knew this was going to happen. Like, when you have Diggs and Thielen out there, defenses can say, well, we can't really double either of them because if we double one, they're just going to go to the other.
I mean, you got to throw that safety back and deep, and that opens up things for your run game, which Dalvin Cook obviously.
Yeah, and Dalvin had a good week. He had a good fantasy week 1. I know this week the thing that saved him fantasy wise because he's on 2 of my teams is that end zone, that touchdown. Yep. But like without Stephon Diggs out there, teams don't have to they don't have to have that safety deep, and they can really just be like, all we got to do is worry about Adam Thielen because apparently Kirk Cousins does not know that Kyle Rudolph exists. Like Kyle Rudolph has been like a ghost ever since Kirk Cousins has come to this team. And I get we've got the young Irv Smith Jr. Who did have 4 targets, but only 1 catch for 3 yards. To where it's like,
that's rough.
Is it the play? Like, is it the play calling? Is it Kirk Cousins? I think it's Kirk Cousins and his decision making because as we're seeing, 8 targets and then the next big one is 4. I'm not optimistic. Like there's the fan in me that's like, yes, this team should be better, but there is still the realist in me to where 7 wins is what I think will be. 7 wins, 6 wins the low end, 9 wins is our version of 16-0. That's what I'm looking at right now. But on the other side, the Colts, it was nice to see them wake up. And by wake up, I mean be a Colts team that I think that they should be. Like, this should be the Colts team. Jonathan Taylor having good games. Even though you have Paris Campbell got injured, and although T.Y. Hilton wasn't the guy doing it, they had Ali Cox step up 111 yards on 6 targets in the game. Like,
big old tight end.
Like, this is the Colts team that I'm like, all right, this is what I wanted to see out of you.
Yep. No, I mean, Colts look good. I think Phillip Rivers is closer to the player we saw in week 2 than the one we saw in week 1. I think he hasn't lost that much of a step, so I've got confidence in this Colts team moving forward. But this Vikings team, man, I did not think they would be this poor coming out the gates. I expected better out of them.
Next game, Bills, Dolphins. This is one that I'm going to say, me personally, I think this is a quick one to get through because, like, Josh Allen looked good.
Like, you and I called this game.
Did we say it was going to be this close, though? Like, score-wise, we didn't expect it to be this close, but early on...
It's magic.
Good point. Good point.
The man makes any game competitive if he's not turning the ball over 17 times in a game. Like, that's the magic of the beard. He can throw his way through any game. I mean, you got to give credit to Josh Allen. Looked like an absolute stud out there.
4 tutties.
Diggs, John Brown, getting it done on the outsides. I loved what they did out there. Their play calling was pretty good on the offensive end. Defensively, obviously, like you said, it got closer than it would be comfortable, but still, hell of a game by the Bills. They're 2-0, but they played
2 of the bottom 6 teams in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, next week the Bills will play the Rams.
That's the test. That's the one that I'm like, Josh Allen's a supreme talent in the NFL. I think he's a better quarterback than Goff. But the question is we'll see what happens with the rest of that team.
The next game, though, Dave, Niners, Jets, and sorry, Jet fans, we're not going to focus on your team.
You suck. You hate Adam Gase. He needs to get fired. And if you get the number 1 overall pick, you're getting rid of Sam Darnold.
Dave's like, it's the same thing.
Quarterback in Trevor Lawrence.
Dave's like, it's the same thing. Play the record. But for the 49ers, we talked about Oster early, Dave. But Garoppolo injured. Even if he doesn't play, Nick Mullins, I think we've seen him in the past to where it's like, all right, he's not Garoppolo, but he's not bad. The big thing, though, Dave, and this tweet dropped as we were recording, and this comes from Adam Schefter, is that Nick Bosa out for the year.
Oh, yeah, he had a torn ACL earlier today. I knew that one.
It is for sure he's gone earlier today. For the year. How is all this going to how is this going to affect the Niners going forward? Because yes, week 3 they've got the Giants, who aren't a great team. They've then got Philly, who's not a great team. They've then got Miami, who's not a great team. Can they weather the storm through some of these injuries and then just have the Bosa be the big one?
Now, if I recall correctly, I did talk quite a bit of shit about the 49ers season this year. Did I not? Did I not have them losing a lot of games?
Did you? I'll have to check.
I'm pretty sure that you gave me shit because I did not have the 49ers going to the playoffs.
You're right. I think I did do that.
Yep. I have a talent.
Because you were high on the fucking Cardinals, though.
I was. And turns out the Cardinals are good at football.
We'll get to them, too.
Fucking what? Dave knows things. Dave knows injuries. That's let's be honest. Dave knows injuries. I live closest to injuries, and that's where I am most comfortable. Solomon Thomas also injured left knee. We will see what happens to him. But yeah, Bosa obviously torn ACL. That one's a toughie to handle. Garoppolo out there, I think with a his shoulder? Was it hang on, I got it right here. Oh no, he was a high ankle sprain. Drew Lock was the AC joint. So yeah, high ankle sprain for Jimmy Garoppolo. No, it's a rough one for the 49ers. It's definitely that defense with Nick Bosa is the biggest loss. As much as I love Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert, and that offense being able to move the ball, this team's soul was in the defense. What their identity was that defense. They have a good group of backs, and they didn't lean too heavily on any one of them, so they're not going to falter too much there. Mostert was special. And he definitely stood out. He obviously last week had the fastest touchdown. I believe he reached 20-something miles, like 21, 23 miles an hour on his way. He set a record. He was the fast guy. So credit to him for that. But this is a team that will absolutely struggle going forward. So it's a tough one. You walk away with the win against the worst team in football, but still going forward, it is not an easy walk.
Yeah, and I mean, everything right now I'm seeing says Jimmy Garoppolo has a chance to play. I think the next 3...
No way does he play high ankle sprain.
I think the next 3 they could get through, even with Mullins out there.
What's the next 3?
Giants, Eagles, Dolphins.
Oh, I mean, Jesus Christ. You couldn't ask for easier. I'll be honest. You wrote that schedule up real nicely.
However, though, it's going to be important that Garoppolo and even maybe most
3 weeks is good time for him. He should be able to be back. Jimmy Garoppolo 3 weeks, 100% high ankle sprain.
But the Bosa injury is going to be felt after those 3 weeks because after it, you've got the Rams. You've got the Patriots. You've got the Seahawks. You've got Aaron Rodgers. You've got Drew Brees. You've got Jared Goff yet again. Then you got Josh Allen. Then you got maybe a bye week in the Washington football team. But then you got Dak Prescott. Then you got Kyler Murray. Then you got Russell Wilson. After these next 3 games, it's like, ooh, we don't have Joey Bosa to go after these guys.
That defense is... They're going to have to step up. That's all it is. It's next man up. That's all you got to tell them is next man up. You got to get out there and get after it. But
and you had them 9-7. I had them 13-3. So they're probably not going to be 13-3 no more.
Yep.
I feel pretty good about that.
The next game, Dave, Rams go to 2-0, Eagles go to 0-2. What's more impressive here? Because there were many people that questioned the Rams. Are we going to see Super Bowl Rams? Are we going to see the Rams we saw last year? Is it more that the Rams looked good in their first 2 weeks and are 0-2? Or that the Eagles, who I had winning the division, are now 0-2? This is the one division in football I completely fucked up in the NFC East. What's a bigger shock to you? Rams 2-0 looking good, Eagles 0-2 looking really bad.
Eagles 0-2 looking really bad. Carson Wentz looking like a dumpster heap out there. Light that fucking bin on fire. That's where we're at. I love the drama around this Eagles team. We talked earlier with trying to move on from their all-pro tight end. Zach Ertz is talented. No one denies that, but clearly the contract dispute sucks. I think as far as their quarterbacking is concerned, Wentz has made a regression as far as his ability to read through progression and deliver accurate throws. I don't know. That was the weirdest stat when I saw this morning on ESPN, and Greeny dropped it, and it was, he missed, I think it was 15 passes where it was a clean pocket, and he just missed the receivers. So inaccurate throws, not under pressure. That's the number one sign for concern with that Eagles team. I don't know how they can be favorites anymore after watching weeks 1 and 2. They look like a very poor team. The Rams looked good week 1, but obviously we know how that game ended. And week 2, I think they're just status quo. Status quo for the Rams is how I feel.
If I'm you asked me about my team and the Vikings, and yes, I had a little optimistic. If I was an Eagle fan, zero optimism. Mainly because even just the next 4, Cincinnati could be a win, but I'm going to say now I will spoil. Dave, this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler.
You're dropping it early?
I'm calling my shot early. Bengals and Joe Burrow get the win 1 over the Eagles this week.
I dig it.
Joe Burrow gets his first win in Philly.
Who's the Thursday night this week?
The Thursday night this week?
Yeah.
Let me see. The Thursday nighter is Miami-Jacksonville.
Oh, what a heater.
What a heater right down the middle. But the Eagles after that, the 49ers, we just talked about, should be a win for the 49ers, even with Mullins out there. And then after that, the Steelers and the Ravens. This is a team, depending on how they play against Joe Burrow, could be 0-6 to start the year, which is just, you're done. You're done, season's over. You're not making the playoffs. You're not many
Wentz?
team.
That's the great question is what happened to Carson Wentz? How do you go from an MVP caliber quarterback for a streak of games to terrible?
I think one of the reasons is, and let me look at the stats really quick just to back me up here, is so Zach Ertz, yet again, having the contract situation, he was targeted 7 times, only had 42 yards. We have not seen, so Deshaun Jackson was out there, got targeted 9 times, but this team is not at full strength until they have Alshon and Deshaun out there at the same time. And we have not seen Alshon Jeffrey yet. And that's the thing with the teams. And I know, because I had both of them in fantasy last year, Alshon and Deshaun Jackson, walking injuries half the time. So, for me, that, if the Eagles are, let's say they go 0-4 in their next 4, and they're 0-6.
Right.
They got a decision to make. If we're a top pick in the draft, let's say they're number 1, moving on from Carson Wentz for Trevor Lawrence, that might be an option they might have to do if they're bad enough. Or will will their draft become, hey, we're not the number 1 pick, we don't have to worry about Lawrence, and they can get a top wide receiver, because this draft could be receiver heavy in the first round. I think they have to look wide receiver, because we can put pressure on Carson Wentz, and some of it is decision making, but when your team isn't at full strength and you have a guy like Deshaun Jackson who ain't what he used to be,
he's an old man.
Alshon is hurt usually, when you're not out there, you're not helping the team. This team may have to go to the wide receiver pool in the first round.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we're going to have to do an entire episode of
The Eagles.
Who wouldn't you take over Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah. Which team wouldn't draft Trevor Lawrence?
How far through the draft would you have to go? Maybe we'll do it by like week 5, week 6, when we know who these teams really are. But it's going to be an interesting one because it might go further than you guys expect.
Yeah. The next one, Dave, I think this is just pretty self-explanatory. Broncos Steelers. Like, yes, it was closer than I thought it would be. The question is, Steelers are good. They're going to win football games.
There's no question the Steelers are good. Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith.
Yep.
And we got the Connor coming back looking healthy.
And then, like, with the Broncos,
great.
The Broncos, it's just how are they going to handle their injuries? Drew Lock out. Cortland Sutton out. Like, this is a team that might not be on the winning side a lot.
That shit on my expectations for the Broncos this year because I like both those players. I thought that would be an excellent connection with Sutton on one side, Jerry Jeudy on the other. Excellent route running, big body out there. Like their offense looked primed to go off, but obviously this has been a tough season. Before the season even started, they lost their best pass rusher to injury in a walkthrough. So I feel for the Broncos. This is a snake-bitten year for them. But the Steelers are an excellent team. They're exactly who I expect them to be. They're shocking a lot of people out there who had written them off. Big Ben is still a good quarterback. I don't care what you say about him, his will to win games. But that man is big. He's taken more hits than anybody else, and he will just stick in there and complete passes left and right. He's a guaranteed 4,000-yard season kind of guy.
JD brings up a good point just to slide it in here, going back to the Eagles for a hot second.
Nope.
Does Jalen, if they go 0-6, does Jalen Hurts start?
Nope.
No, not at all. I never changed the title. Thank you, Soapy. That's on me. I'll do that right now. As Panthers and Bucks, Dave, are the Bucks finally alive? Dave's like, I gotta
yawning like crazy. I apologize, guys. I need to like chug some water, wake up. Like, I don't know what it is. I am tired today. Panthers looked poor, and then Christian McCaffrey obviously hurt.
Yeah. But like the Bucks, is this like they had a game. Yes, they didn't have Godwin and Evans out
the Bucks.
there.
Look, the Bucks were going to be the Bucks were. It's Tom Brady. It's 17 fucking guys from the 2016 year who are all pros.
Let's not call it like Ricky thought the Panthers were actually going to win this game or no.
Yeah, Ricky did think the Panthers were going to win this game, didn't he? Yeah, and Dave was like, "You're crazy." Because we got to get our pick, our win-loss ratios.
Yeah, we have the tape still. I have the tape still.
Yeah, we'll have to go through that and see who picked what because I think the Bucks proved exactly who they were. They were a bounce-back team. They need more time. This is a time that will get better with time because Tom Brady reads defenses. He reads offenses. He understands the game at a deeper level than any other quarterback we've ever seen before. So it's just a matter of he needs to get on the same page with his team. And I think week over week, we're going to see continual improvement. We still haven't even seen Gronk's inclusion on this offense, really. He has been an excellent pass blocker and a diversion out there, but like he's still not Gronk. And I think that there is that we are a breakout game away from having that Gronk back. So it's not there yet, but this is a very good team. And then, like you mentioned, Mike Evans popped off this week after being the injury decoy. Still got a touchdown last week. But Godwin will be back, and then this team will be all fucking go.
The next one I'm going to let you take, Dave, only because this is your team. I'm calling them your team. You're riding with them. You were high on them from the start. I was not. Cardinals go to 2-0, beating the Washington football team. Kyler Murray looked damn good. There was one that I saw in the first half of him where he just squeaked right in on a run, and he had 2 of those in the game.
So, did you see the one that got called back? Where he just so one of his touchdown runs, he flat out like hit him with like I think someone Reddit referred to as the Barry Sanders stall, but like basically you stop and you like stutter step for a second and like almost high leg it, and then he just fucking put on the Jets and leaned into it, and it was like he ain't even close. He just got a bite on that fucking stall right there. So the hezzy, not quite a hezzy Jimbo from basketball, but it was a hezzy nonetheless. Kyler Murray's insane. D-Hop is good. That defense provides enough pressure to get them out of sticky situations. I like this team. They've got a balanced offense. Kyler Murray is a playmaker on the level of, a Michael Vick from back in the day. Like he is just electrifying out there. And
you know who the announcers were comparing him to?
Who?
Lamar.
I think he's different. He's a different player than Lamar
They were like,
Jackson.
you know what? He's the same type of. He's got that speed and like he can do the same moves that Lamar can do.
He is a different type of player than Lamar Jackson. I think those guys are lazy. I'm going to call professional announcers lazy. I don't care. I'm going to call them out for what they are because you watch them play, and Lamar Jackson clearly has a different playbook than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a offensive weapon. Lamar Jackson has a fantastic system, and I'm not talking down on him because he's literally winning like 95% of the games he's ever played in.
Lamar just can't, like, the thing that's different with Lamar because he's playing against grown men in the NFL is, of course, we're not going to see the Lamar we saw in college where he's hurdling defenders.
Yeah. I feel like Kyler Murray still has that electric to him. Lamar Jackson feels like he can lower a shoulder and just fucking bounce off a guy and keep like spin move out of it and keep going. Like I feel like there's a toughness in Lamar Jackson that I love, but there's an electric ability in Kyler Murray to make things happen in space. And they're very different players, especially when it comes to the passing game and the looks that they're set up for. So I think lazy comp, obviously, but I do think both players. I mean, Lamar Jackson's on a team that's about to win 14 fucking games this year, probably.
You did it again, Dave. Lazy comp. Gotta go with Michael Vick.
I mean, I am Perma Mel Kiper.
We're gonna have a Mel counter every time Dave does the cadence. Bad. It's a poor comp. Lazy research. Gotta go Michael Vick. Michael Vick. He's the better one for Kyler Murray.
Yep, you're right. 100% right. So that's where I landed this game. I did like what Washington did. I think they're a good team. They're not as. I knew week 1 was a joke. I knew what they did to the Eagles was like, okay, all right, the Eagles imploded.
More of the Eagles looking bad than the Cardinals looking good.
The Eagles imploded game 1. Washington won it because of their supreme athleticism on the defensive end. So credit to them for that. They did exactly what they needed to. Week 2 was closer to who they were. They're a competitive football team, but they're not at the top of the NFL as far as power, as far as whatever rankings you want to go. They're still a good team. They're a middle of the road team. I think they're maybe a 6-10 team. They're 7-9 team. They're in that range in my mind. That's what they stand out as.
The next game, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one from the start, Dave. I'm gonna let you react to it, but we had already mentioned this before. The main discussion I would have for Chiefs Chargers is, I just want to say, you were mentioning earlier when Dave was right. I just want to say where Ricky was right, because I was high on Justin. When people were doubting Justin Herbert in the draft process, I liked Justin Herbert. And I even said it yesterday during the watch along where while watching him at the Chargers, I was like, you know what? I was spot on. He's got a little bit of Cam Newton in him. Because there were Dave, do you see the play where he lost his shoe? Where the shoe comes off, the sole comes out, and he goes, you know what? I'm still going to plant the foot and make the throw.
I'm a gamer.
Like,
did Skip say he was a gamer?
Dude's got a fucking cannon, Dave. Like, I feel like, without a doubt, to me, Anthony Lynn, you're a coward. And the reason why I'm saying you're a coward is, I would say after this, of course you didn't get the win, and I think that's a little bit of it, but you're playing Patrick Mahomes. I would have doubled down. I would have said, hey, you know what? Tyrod's a great talent. He is. But after this performance, Justin's our starter moving forward. Like, to me, I feel like you drafted the kid for a reason. He played a great game. Yeah, he had one interception, but you know what? What rookie is absolutely perfect every single game? Right. He went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and needed overtime to lose the game. Justin Herbert is the future. Go with the future now. You go now. Get him the game experience that starts now. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I know you want to be respectful to Tyrod because technically, like, losing the job to an injury pregame is just a weak way to lose the job, and I get why you might be thinking that, but go with the future. The future is Herbert, not Tyrod.
I'm with you. This was... Obviously, I feel bad for Tyrod because, again, injury situation where he loses his starting role here. But I'm 100% with you. I think that there's no way you can turn back. Herbert has been unleashed. He has been seen. We all understand how good of a quarterback he is, and especially his coming out party against the Super Bowl, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions in the Kansas City Chiefs and just shocking them blatantly. Like, they were game planning for Tyrod Taylor, and you could see that their defense had some confusion out there going up against Herbert in those looks. So I really do think that he earned like a gold fucking star. The win-loss wasn't important. The fact that it took overtime and 3 consecutive made kicks by Harrison Butker. Now, I don't know if you've seen this. There's a little controversy going on, a little controversy around Harrison Butker's holder.
Okay.
Who is picking up an object from the field after the kick. It looks like he might be dropping a little bit of like a, you know how in golf you pick up your ball when somebody else is going, a marker?
Yeah.
There was talks about being a tee at first. It's clearly not a tee. It might be a marker, though, for him to land the football on or near, and it gives a visual cue for Harrison Butker to line up to.
That's technically cheating, though, right?
It is technically cheating. It's against NFL rules.
Is it cheating, or is it just something no one's thought about before?
Well, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I've been reading through some Reddit threads, which makes me an expert on the opinion of the NFL rules here. Always. So I do have to say that there are rules around objects being placed on the field to assist in a kick.
Yeah.
But assuming that this object was not under the football, I don't know that it is illegal. And I know that they've had photos of an object in a holder's hands.
Yeah.
Multiple times for a couple of years now, so it's not new.
Yeah.
And there's refs been there, so I don't know. Butker was on the show today for
Pat McAfee. Because
that's
what Dave watches.
That's what Dave watches. That's where you're going to get your info from.
The reason what I love about it is now you know how I felt when all I watched was Cowherd and Dan Patrick.
Pat McAfee 3 times the show. I'm sorry.
Like, I used to do the same thing with 3 things, Dave. Dan Patrick.
I know them all.
Colin Cowherd and Kind of Funny. Those are the 3 things.
Yep. Pat McAfee is a wonderful human being, and he has talent on there who gets interviews who say interesting things. And they had Butker on there, and he was talking about making these kicks. But at no point did he bring up that holder situation. So I don't know. We got no additional commentary on that, but it is an interesting idea. This Chiefs team, though, I mean, they've shown they're a little, maybe this is a bit of a wake-up call, and this Ravens matchup is about to be an AFC Championship preview.
I can't wait for that one. But
it is game of the week.
It's going to be, and I don't want, the reason why I don't want to talk about the Ravens-Texan game is, A, don't got a lot to say about it. Ravens really good. Houston not so good. If you're not so good, you ain't going to beat the Ravens. That's like the hardcore, like Neanderthal analysis that I want to give on it. But I feel like if we talk about the Ravens, we're just going to talk about Chiefs-Ravens and have nothing to talk about on Friday when we preview the game. So I apologize to Ravens-Texans fans. Ravens, you are really good. Texans, you were not good enough to beat the Ravens. I'm being nice because I don't think your team is very good in general. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Thunder Gecko, who is also Shane O'Mac, resident Colts fan in Twitch chat. He did bring up that the Browns did the same thing with Tyrod when we were talking about Herbert. They gave the job to Tyrod early. Baker won it shortly after. Like you were saying earlier in the show, Dave, maybe he's a good luck Chuck of quarterbacks.
He is.
You bring in Taylor. You bring in a young quarterback wins the job. But Dave, last game of the week, Sunday night, it took a goal line stance.
Game of the week.
It is, it's kind of like Cam Newton can't beat an entire defense all on his own. I was saying though, and yet again, hindsight's 2020, but this is just Ricky calling up his own play. What I would have done is I would have had the tight end on the outside, and looking at the replay, the Seahawks gave it to you. You could have had just, okay, I'm going to have him slip and go to the corner. And if Cam doesn't have the angle, boop, just over the top, float it to the corner. Would have been an easy touchdown.
Just a race to the pylon, and if not, he can pull out. I see.
Like, no, there was no one over there. Like, right. I feel like on those runs, you should always have something like that.
One
especially
option,
when your
at
quarterback,
least one option.
When you have a quarterback like Newton that can just lob it over. But Dave, Patriots, Seahawks, your boy, you mentioned him earlier. He went off for 5 touchdowns as well. This was just a great game all around.
The soon-to-be MVP of the league, Russell Wilson, is doing the incredible. He's doing the impossible. He's doing the unthought of, and he's just demolishing teams left and right. He's been unleashed, and this is exactly who we thought he was. It's been years since this team has had that the Legion of Boom.
Yeah,
that was like the name of the LOB back there. It's been years. He's been quietly just been carrying this team, and because they're on the West Coast, does not get publicity. Plays the late night games. Nobody talks about him. Nobody watches him. This team is excellent. They are bar none a top 2 team in the NFC. They are wonderful, and I can't wait to watch them go all season and to the deep playoff run that I expect them on. I really do think this Patriots team is better than I expected, though. That is, I will give credit. Cameron Newton, embarrassing teams. Embarrassing teams. What do you do if you're one of those teams who's like, we're not going to pay Cam Newton $1 million to play quarterback?
Dave.
What do you do to that front office? Do you just feel like so that's the guy we don't want him? We're 0-2 right now, and you couldn't pay him $1 million?
Dave, quit.
Tell me that with a straight face.
Quit living in my head rent free, because this is the third time you've done it today. Because I was going to bring up, this was right after, or it was either right after the game or right along the side of like before the final play. And I got to find it because it was from last night. Fucking Rich Eisen had a golden tweet.
Saints just scored.
Where he said this: Cam's first 2 performances officially now begs this question. How in the world did all the quarterback needy teams let him sit at home waiting for the phone to ring until Belichick called?
Yeah. Like, as a Bears fan, it hurts me deeply.
Like, it's just one of those things. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Belichick is the only one that could have got this out of Cam Newton. Let's not take anything away, Dave, from Cam Newton. And I'm going to get the whole, like, the Skip Max Kellerman, the Stephen A. voice of, let's not take away anything from Cam Newton. Cam Newton is an amazing talent. There was a reason
MVP.
Why I was like, we're going to see MVP Cam. Is Cam going to be the MVP this year? No. But I will say this. He will be in the running. He will be a finalist for the MVP at the end of the year. And that's not going to be because of Bill Belichick. Does Bill Belichick help? Yes. But Cam
Josh
Newton
McDaniels helps more.
Yes. Josh McDaniels helped more. But, like, Cam Newton's still a great quarterback talent. Like, let's not take anything away from it. It's not like Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels are bringing Cam Newton out of the slums and going, hey, kid, want to play quarterback? Yeah, like, Cam Newton is a top talent in the draft when he came out, top talent in the league, Super Bowl MVP if they would have beat the Broncos.
This man is good at football. The biggest question around him was always his health.
Yes.
And you have to wonder, I have to ask this at least as a Bears fan who did not get Cam Newton, was the biggest thing that hurt Cam Newton's free agency the fact that because of COVID, he could not get in to see team doctors to have those test labs, x-rays, everything tested on him? Because I have to think that if teams knew he was this healthy and this athletically prepared to play football, there's no way he could have been stuck out there in limbo for as long as he was.
I see that as an excuse because it didn't stop the Patriots.
Well, I mean, it didn't stop the Patriots out there for like
I will say
2 months.
I will say
he was a free agent for 2 months at least.
I will say this, and this is me talking from the Bears side because they were a team that passed on Cam Newton.
Right, we went with the Nick Foles option.
If the Bears finish like 6-10, 9-7,
which we won't, 9-7.
I'm just saying, if they do, if they miss the playoffs, and even at 8-8, and Mitch is like, yeah, he played good but not great, and the Patriots make the playoffs,
that's when you win the division.
Like, you know what I would say at that point? Fireable offense. Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace should then be fired on the spot because not once did he pass up a good, talented quarterback, but now twice he has passed up. And he gave up a fourth for Nick Foles. Nick Foles is good. I'm not slamming Nick Foles here.
And a big contract, though, this year.
And a big contract when you could have just signed Cam Newton for a year, or you could have did your due diligence and just drafted Deshaun Watson. Like,
yep. No, I think you're right, though. This does beg the question of Ryan Pace's competence as a general manager, as a front office guy whose job is basically to be talking to the scouts, scouting himself, interviewing talent out there, seeing who's available, and crafting a roster that's capable of winning a championship. And if he did not do his due diligence to put together that roster, then he's a failure.
And paying your number one receiver the money he's worth.
Oh, don't even get me started on Allen Robinson's situation right now.
I'll ask you the same thing I asked Tim to end the show. Bear fan question. Although it's not the same money, do you think it's at all a little bit of a slap in the face that the Bears got Tyreek Cohen's deal done before Allen Robinson's?
Yes.
That's what I was 100% thinking.
Think it is, and I think it sent a message.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it meant you have to come to the table prepared to...
Tim and Sam were on the side of no, and I was like, how is it not?
No, it definitely feels personal because Tyreek Evans, not Tyreek Evans, Jesus, Cohen. What year am I in?
Cohen.
Tyreek Cohen was in a situation where his contract, yes, there was a timeline on where it needs to get done on, but like he was not in the crunch. He was not publicly complaining. He was playing by their rules. He was playing the game as it goes, and you didn't see anything come out. And you're like, oh, he got a new deal. That's pretty cool for him. And as a Bears fan, you go, wait a minute. Don't we need to like have cap money? Wasn't that the whole complaint about? Aren't we supposed to owe A-Rob a bunch of money? And then that was question marks about this. And it just starts a chain of questions that you have to go, this was a slight. They publicly slighted Allen Robinson here to be like, well, you will compromise or you will not play with us. You know?
I saw the same thing. I'm seeing the same thing, that I thought that Tyreek Cohen thing was just a slap in the face. Tariq Cohen was a slap in the face to the Bears. But Dave, any final thoughts on this? Monday shows are just going to be longer than usual, especially if there's basketball.
The game's already kicked off. Saints are up 3-0 right now.
That's a good point. Don't you have Lutz? No, you don't have Lutz. Who's got Lutz? Brandon. Brandon's got Lutz. So that's good for Brandon, I think. He's got some fantasy points. But that's going to do it for MVP Sports Live. Thank you guys for staying with us. Shane O'Mac here, Soapy here, JD here, Sam here. Thank you guys for being here. Those are the ones that were in. Philly Sean was here earlier, one of our Patreon sponsors. But real quick at the end, Discord, join it, link down below or in Twitch chat, !Discord. It's a great time to talk to everyone from the MVP family. Great conversations going on all the time there, and watch-alongs happening for Sunday Night Football, basketball games. We're watching and talking to each other. And how do you get in on that? Patreon.com/MVPvids. Discord is free, but the watch-along channels, the voice channels, bronze and above members get to be there. Thank you to our sponsors from Patreon, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. You can also support us by subbing to us on Twitch, get these same rewards that a bronze member would. And also thank you to this guy who Dave earlier today, 2-month sub. He resubbed. He's a 2-month sub for MVP today. So thank you on your 2-month anniversary for that. And then also we're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVPvids, Monday through Friday, but we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports as well. So like, follow, subscribe at both places. It really helps us out. That's going to do it for the show today. Dave and I will be back tomorrow talking about more sports news, more sports content. We will see you there. But as always, have a good day, everybody.